logo or not, and let people take the yes or no side.
All right. We're on here, fellas, discussing the saga that is the TradingView logo. Just going to double check that our stream is coming in clean on YouTube. I pushed it to the wrong event like a noob, so now we're back on the right event, but I'm seeing low bit rate. So anyways, guys, what's up? Good to see you all back here on DeltaFi. We've got Rob, Levy, Crypto Messiah in the house, myself, Random Task at Random Task 555, and we're here to talk about Bitcoin and DeFi. And Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, Kathy Wood came on today talking all kinds of panel discussions. It was interesting. The market did waste no time running prices up into that event, into resistances, squeezing the bears by $3,600 off the lows in under 24 hours. Bitcoin is a beast. Careful shorting dull markets. That's all I can say. Although I'm sad I missed my Doge short during the stream. That's the way she goes.
I missed my Ethereum short. I was I was looking at like 2080, and we didn't quite get there. But it is what it is. I'm not in a hurry, to jump in and short. I think in situations like these, the best thing to do is to be patient before positioning. Because this very well could be a scam pump, or it could be the start of something. So I think it's best to wait and see which.
I think it's the start of something. But I also recognize that I really want it to be the start of something, and I have to factor that into my bias, my analysis. But you know me, man, I've been beating this horse for weeks. Even if it's a bear market, we don't go straight down, and the ups don't last 3-4 days. They last weeks along the way. We remember this.
Yep.
So when I see price coiling up, and then we break the range lows yesterday, I was like, fuck, I guess we're going down. And then we reclaim them very aggressively. And to me, that's enough to be thinking, let's get long around.
My cat is attacking me right now, so I've got. I had to get myself some defense. She does this shit when I'm in my computer chair. She comes up behind me, and she jumps up and bites my tricep, and it hurts like shit, and it's startling. So when I see her, she's like staring at me, and her tail's like, doing that cat thing right now. When I see her doing that
cats
shit,
are evil.
I've got to have the water bottle, to keep some distance, and I just push her away. So if you guys see me being like weird with a water bottle, that's what's going on.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. But
Cat
I just
alpha.
wanted to make sure I got my generally bullish thought on before you go like full half-hour bear on me.
Well, look,
last week you started us off with a long bearish run. It made me very uncomfortable. Our viewership disappeared. We had inverse numbers. minus 400 people were watching at that point.
I'm still as bearish as ever. And this is partially due to, in 2018, I still remember, and when you zoom out and you look at what happened today, it's extremely insignificant, like extremely, and the volume is low too, from a relative perspective. So
we are looking at different charts, my friend.
Maybe so, but in 2018, I still remember every little tiny bounce, no matter how small it was. The bulls came out and were immediately euphoric again, and I think that speaks to the market conditions that we're in. And that there's still hope in the air. People are still believing that this can pump, that this can go up from here, and that's kind of a scary thing from a psychological perspective to me, because we are in a bear market. That is undeniable. The big question here is, do you want to be short, or do you want to be bearish at the bottom, or do you want to have a more cautious stance at the bottom?
If you're going to be bearish here, I think you just need to own calls. Like it honestly, if you want to sell, if you want to get short, I think you have to own calls, because vol is lowish and everything else is bullish. We're looking at all other assets, real estate, real stuff with finite. That is going so much higher in US dollar terms right now. It just is. Like the real estate market, the real estate investment, all that shit it's going higher. Prices,
people are making money.
We're within a fucking 9 iron of all-time highs in NASDAQ, all that stuff. It's not turning yet. Is it overpriced, all that stuff? Yes. But I don't think there's any reason overall, fundamentally, why crypto, why Bitcoin itself shouldn't be going higher in fiat terms. And
I think you're right.
I get the US dollar index and the Dixies rallying against all other fiat currencies. But the bottom line is fiat itself overall is going to lose dominance and share. And
no, but then again, Rob, I mean, here's the thing, and I look at the dollar, and of course, as somebody who is bearish, it's easy for me to say, oh, the dollar's rallying. That's very bad for Bitcoin, right? But at the same time, the dollar rallied from early January to the end of March, and Bitcoin was going up. So, right now, I don't think dollar strength is enough cause for concern, yet, unless the dollar does some real fucky shit, decides to exit this range, which it's still in, and decides to go to, 95, 96, something like that. I think that could be bad for crypto.
Why? I understand that and whatever correlation, but my whole thing is if the dollar decides to fucking rip like that, and it rips against other, the euro, the yen and all that, what are people who are sitting there holding the euro, holding the yen, what are they going to be feeling when they're losing value to the dollar? There's crypto here that is priced not for them in dollars, it's priced in kind of their sovereign, their fiat. So it leads them more into Bitcoin. I don't get it, and I maybe it's because I haven't been taught by the right experts smarter than me. I don't get it why the strong dollar, which the DXY, that's the measurement of the dollar against all other fiat shitcoins, right? It's like dollar dominance. Why that necessarily would lead to crypto being under pressure. I don't know. I'm not.
It's more just that it has been historically, and that's just my take. I don't know economics. I'm not going to talk about the fundamentals of the dollar versus. All I know is that during the bull market, of 2017 when I joined, and I didn't even know what the Dixie was, and the Dixie was just, as it turns out, it was going down the whole time. Oh, look at that! Right when it reversed, Bitcoin had a big bear market. When Bitcoin bottomed, it had a blow off top. When Bitcoin had another bull market, it went down. That does not have to last forever. And as Bitcoin maybe ingrains itself more in the broader markets, that may be a thing of the past. But it's the best we have to work with. So you got to believe there's people with their finger on the trigger when they see bullish market structure on the Dixie. They say, oh, fuck, and then you mix that in with all this sentiment. So I get it. There is a significant difference, though, between the little rally it had this spring. It's like, oh, well, Bitcoin went up when the Dixie went up. The Dixie was trending down. It was trending down hard, and this was a retrace. The difference now is that it's pulled back up, broken through this downtrend line, and is now threatening to break out. It feels like forever. I've been watching this
pushing.
thing.
It's up against so much resistance there.
And that's it. There's a ton of resistance there. It's in bearish divergence. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is in bullish divergence. I've got a chart that I put together today.
If it breaks out, that would really, really shake up the equities markets, worldwide. I think. So what we were talking about this a little bit before stream. COVID, right? COVID is something that everybody thinks is in the rearview mirror, but I've heard more and more, and this scares me, about this Delta variant. I'm not scared in the sense that, oh my God, I'm going to get the virus and die. I'm scared in the sense that they're beating the war drums about it, and they could be using this as another means to lock us up again or take drastic measures, that would impact markets, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't, of course, with Trump, it was the markets first policy. With Democrats in power, it's going to be a people first policy. So for me, the most terrifying thing is Moderna stock is fucking mooning. Okay. There are several reports of U.S. senators purchasing Peloton stock, which we all know was an extreme performer during the last lockdowns, because people couldn't go to the gym. What the fuck are you going to do?
What's Peloton's ticker?
Sorry, you're getting me so bullish crypto right now.
Well, here's an interesting thing, because I watched the Plan B conference, like I'm sure many of you did.
I missed
the B word. The B word.
I want to hear about it.
The B word. Plan B. That would have been a Plan B. There's a guy named Plan B, right? But
that's the stock to flow guy. Yeah.
Yeah. The stock to flow guy.
You know what? All the hate aside, he's a smart guy. I listened to him on Scott Melker's podcast. He's smart.
Super smart.
I liked what he had to say.
Look at that complacency rally.
Here's what's extremely interesting, though. or what came from that conference was that Cathie Wood, who's an extremely intelligent woman, was discussing Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general as a hedge against deflation. Which is something that you don't hear spoken about much. Most of the times when people are talking about, oh my God, inflation is coming. But she's talking about deflation. And there's a lot of big funds and extremely heavy cash positions. You want to ask, why would they be in cash? The markets are going crazy. Everything's great. This is fantastic. Well, cash performs during deflation because the dollar rallies, the dollar's strong. And then they've got that money to buy the dip, when it's the right time.
Double win, yeah.
They're liquid. So Cathie thinks that cryptocurrencies are a potential strong hedge against deflation. Now, when I think deflation's scary because deflation hurts rich people. And that in turn hurts poor people. Deflation hurts rich people because during deflationary periods, you think the Great Depression, you've got the markets crashing, rich people get wrecked. And when rich people get wrecked, that's bad for everybody because jobs go off the market, people get laid off, things like that. Then it hurts the little guy as well. So yeah, and that's the first time I've ever heard crypto as a deflation hedge, because in my mind, I was like, wow, if these global markets risk off and, we do enter a period of deflation, which here's the thing, talking about a euphoric market, when we've got numbers coming out of Asia on infection rates of COVID that are 4 times greater than they ever were in 2020. And then you've got the stock market and everything just rallying to all-time highs. And we've had this virus and this disease impact economies globally. We've had meme stocks pumping. Look, I don't want to be the guy to call the top on equities or whatever, because I think that's just the stupidest thing you can do.
Never in our lives has that.
We were talking about this before stream. I mean, I've been alive for 30 years, and every single time somebody's tried to be a huge doomer on the market, they're wrong without fail. And if you look back at the history of the market, I mean, even for a longer duration than that, it's always the case. Why is that? Well, it's because rich people are in control of the way everything works, and they're not going to let it happen because that impacts them too much. Eventually, look, I believe in the everything bubble. I think that eventually this system that's in place, it has to come crashing down. But I'm not going to be the guy to say when. And to be honest to God, it kind of sucks that I have that pessimistic view, just because if we do get a proper, real, Great Depression level crash,
10 years,
we've never seen that happen in modern society.
Come on, that it's impossible, because that's why that's why they're there. They're going to inflate shit. That's why Bitcoin is literally at one point going to explode.
But that's the thing, though, and a lot of people say, okay, well, Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Well,
it will.
Do you want to live in that world where Bitcoin is $1 million?
Why the fuck not? It's like all this real estate. It's like everything else that's popping. There's enough natural resources and enough stuff to provide for this population at this time, global economics. But yeah, I think in dollar terms, if you're counting the value in the terms of this currency that you're going to be just helicoptering out there and stimming everywhere, then yeah, I want to own fucking Bitcoin and I want to own hard stuff, and it's going to explode eventually. I don't think there will be this depression, because we're smart enough economically now that where it'll just be a different regime, but hard assets will explode. And yes, then people will get angry at crypto owners and Bitcoin owners, because they literally will be extremely, extremely wealthy relative. But,
we'll have to build bases in Hawaii like Zuckerberg just to survive the zombie.
Man, I'm so bullish right now long term. Whatever happens short term.
Long term, you've got to be extremely bullish on this shit. And a lot of people have said that Bitcoin is a hedge against uncertainty, which I kind of agree with, because it's if not knowing what the future holds and not knowing
what's going to
happen.
I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I use Bitcoin when it's kind of that initial competition with fiat, right? I think Bitcoin's our best fighter in the ring there.
It's the guy you send in the front gate. Yeah.
I'm not a maxi though, in terms of like network value and transactions and this application layer and dude, this multi-chain world is going to be fucking glorious. I'm not a maxi.
I can confirm Rob is in fact a Sam Bankman-Fried maxi. I've seen his bags. They're very Sam heavy.
Sam maximalist.
Sam maxi. I actually started up my Sam bag DCA this morning. Which sucks because I posted online yesterday like my watch list. I was like soon, and they were all down like 8%. And then I was like and then I go to bed like we were broke range lows. I'll just DCA next week. And then they fucking launched today. They're all up 7%. I was like, fuck it, I'm starting today. So it's not perfect, but you look at the charts of those coins and like it's like around when I should be doing that.
I agree. I think you got to be.
You know, this is.
We could talk about the $18 billion valuation on FTX. And I mean, how about being an FTT holder, keeping your FTT on FTX? You are being distributed 5% of the Serum network over.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
So that's what that is, because I keep getting Serum locked in my wallet, and I don't know. Yeah, that's from staking my FTT. Okay.
Like I can't say with a straight face that FTX equity is more valuable than FTT. I mean, if you're an FTT holder keeping it on FTX, you're getting this dividend stream, this cash flow stream of only, what will be that most heavily supported. And
I was about to say, it's not just a cash flow stream, it's an ownership stream, and owning this network.
Yeah, fucking A, right. I mean, if you're
not... And they also burn FTT. I don't know if they burn their stocks, their shares.
Exactly. There's a fewer amount every month, and they're doing so much volume. I mean, oh my God. It's still super under.
So and just to be clear, like I put the same amount into like 8 different coins, like Serum, FTT. I posted on Facebook or Twitter. I haven't been on Facebook in months. But the total I put in was 1.8% of my crypto. Like it's not, I'm not, because I look at that Oxy chart and all I think is like, well, fuck, that's trending down. It hasn't reversed. There's no buyer stepping in. Like I'm just buying a dagger, but I'm not longing. Like I stuck it, I'm going to stake it as soon as that's available. Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
But that's 1.8%. And if we move up, I'll buy another dip. If we keep going down, like I'm actually DCing the sand basket this time. I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah, I think it's smart to be DCing pretty heavily right here. And the way that I think about kind of what's going on right now. So Alameda Trabucco, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Okay, but Sam, the other Sam. Okay,
yeah,
that everybody loves too. I love the other Sam because he always voices his thoughts so well on Twitter, and it's easy for a pleb like me to follow and kind of catch what he's saying. But he posted, of course, yesterday that Alameda bought the dip, right? That's the second time that they posted that. Now, a couple of takeaways, because, if I'm seeing this, through the perspective of a pure bear or pure bull, I could easily pick points out of those things and say, oh, look at this. But the fact that Alameda is buying here, they're DCAing. They're not trying to buy the bottom. They're DCAing on days where, Bitcoin is very red. And they're stepping in and they are buying, and they're buying heavily, and they're buying spot.
I don't necessarily think they're only buying spot. I think
maybe they're buying futures too. If you on Delta though, there was, a massive spot buyer stepped up like right before, Sam tweeted. And,
that very well could be. I think that they get enough of the selling, like they're on so many primary liquidity touch points, Coinbase here, that they're soaking up so much of the natural selling on the bid. Like they're getting hit, crossing bid ask, they're buying it on their bid. That I mean, for them to move aggressive to like lifting offers and that shit, that'd be,
here's the thing. And look, somebody said earlier, when I said bear market, somebody in chat said that this isn't a bear market, this is a correction. Well, a lot of people say things like that. I think those are all kind of semantics. You can call it you can call it whatever you want. If you
It'll only be obvious in retrospect.
Yeah, if you want to call it, well, here's the thing: a correction doesn't necessarily like. It all depends on like the time frame you're talking about. Well, during this correction, was the market bearish? Yes, but if it resumes bull, technically you could never say Bitcoin has ever been in a bear market, right? If
depending on the time frame, of course.
Yeah, on a long enough time frame. Yeah. So when I say we're in a bear market, let me just be clear that this isn't something that I believe is going to last 2 years. This isn't something I believe is going to last for 2 more months. Even I think that we are very, very close to the bottom, and seeing as that we are very close to the bottom, that's why you've got guys like Alameda stepping up and buying and taking positive delta positions when their mantra is delta neutral, right? Mm-hmm. It's unusual to see them doing that, but they're super heavy cash. They've done extremely well, and they want exposure to this asset class because they think that it's a great buy at this level. Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah. Now, a couple of observations, okay, takeaways. At the lows, Sam commented that there was a serious lack of liquidations and that was surprising. That was surprising to me as well. I kept waiting for that wick down because, in my opinion, like that could have been a potential bottom yesterday if we had smacked some fucking bulls in the face. Where are the fucking liquidations, though? Like the big ones just didn't roll in. So that's concerning to me, and just the sense that, do I want to call what happened yesterday or today, do I want to call that the bottom? I really don't. But it is interesting that you have Alameda, that thinks that it's a good opportunity to buy.
But so Daniel, we just came off an event where we had a fucking tremendous bull run, which people are now calling a bubble, right? And we did not have anything close to any sort of blow-off type of liquidation event at the end. So we just saw the most recent event that we can judge from after a long move did not have that same sort of blow-off. So I don't know if it's 50-50.
Probably. I don't think bottom ends at a blow-off either. I think it's going to be a grind.
It probably does over 50% of the time, but I just don't know if like right now the edge on that bet is like plus EV or not. It doesn't.
Catching this bottom is going to be extremely difficult, and I like having coming from somebody who has tried to buy the dip now 3 times on leverage, small leverage against lows. It just gets blown out. I lose a couple grand. I'm like, fuck. Okay, go to the next one. Couple percent. Probably total that I've let myself be drawn down trying to do that. And it, all I think is just like, why do I, like I want to do it. And I'm like, am I trying to be a hero? I was like, no, I'm just really confident that this is going to squeeze up, even if it is a bear market beyond that. So,
right. Which is what you've been saying for a while. You thought whether it's bear, bull, whatever, you feel that there should be a somewhat of a retest squeeze.
The decision. Yeah. That kind of decision tends to happen at that, like that kind of throwback.
I think if this would have been an extended bear, that we would have seen that pop to the upside already. That would make me more bearish, and I've said that before because that's the opportunity for people to exit at highs, lose interest and just walk away, right? They haven't had that opportunity. It's just been a grind down. So Sam also said that while that they thought that was great value down there, it's not quite sell us all you want down here and fuck off levels yet. The famous main Sam quote, right? So, I mean, just the way I see this moving forward is, like I said earlier, there's a lot of hope going around today. And look, I'm hopeful too. It's very, very difficult for me to exercise the control to not just be my natural state, which is full-on raging bull, ape into everything. It's taking an absurd amount of self-control for me to not do that. I really, really, really think that the lows are going to get swept. It's going to be a grind. I think almost everybody at that point is going to be convinced that, oh my God, this is going lower. This is going to be a bear market. And just at that moment, that's when everything goes nuts. So I was talking to Random Task before the stream began. And I have a theory that we haven't seen the real DeFi bubble yet. I think what we've seen are test pumps. And the reason being, if you look at the long-term logarithmic charts on a lot of these big DeFi protocols, it looks fucking awesome right here. This shit looks great. It's at the bottom of the channel. These are channels that have been tested a multitude of times. And to think that this time would be different and that we're going to break the channel down, I think is the wrong way to look at it, especially considering that macro-wise, we are very much still in a bull market. Like Rob was saying earlier, you've got equities still going fucking bad shit, maybe future printing coming, et cetera, et cetera.
I've got your chart up, by the way.
So this is my synthetics chart. It's on a weekly time frame, and I don't know if you can do these Livermore accumulation cylinders on log scale, but if you can, this fits the bill perfectly, even log scale. Now, at the height of the previous two DeFi bubbles, so we can say we had DeFi summer and then also another DeFi bubble in February, right? January, February.
Yeah. At
the height of those two bubbles, DeFi represented 5 to 6% of the total market cap of cryptocurrency. And we're talking about these, not even arguably, in my opinion.
Agreed.
This is the strongest narrative that there has ever been in crypto, period. Hands down, period.
Yeah.
And we're in a market right now to where all DeFi had was 5% dominance. Like, give me a fucking break. The issue with DeFi was that Ethereum didn't scale, so DeFi couldn't thrive. DeFi couldn't have a proper bubble. But that is being solved right now. Optimism is already live, and people have said it's fucking awesome. Now, here's the thing. What did we see on Binance Smart Chain? We saw a real DeFi bubble there. Yeah. Shit, PancakeSwap went 100x in a month. You know why? Because BSC scaled and apes were able to ape.
Yeah.
Ethereum hadn't done that. Now, but with these layer 2s live now, with potential regulatory measures coming into place that are going to impact DeFi longer term, considering that there's so many fucking DeFi charts of these blue chips that look exactly like this, considering that we never saw one of these protocols as a top 10 market cap project.
Agreed.
Which is alarming. Considering all of those things, I would imagine that going into the end of this year and potentially early next year, we will see the biggest fucking DeFi bubble you have ever seen in your entire life, where DeFi represents anywhere from, I'm going to say 15 to 30% dominance of the total.
Do you understand? I mean, I am with you.
It has to happen now, because if it doesn't and regulators come in, then it's going to be impossible.
But Daniel, the thing that about regulators, it's going to be more bark than bite initially. The rumor of what goes on is going to hurt, but in the end, more people and more transaction value will be transmitted through DeFi than ever. Whatever regulation that happens, and I think it's going to be a blend of Western style and then Eastern style. There's clearly a couple of different modes of DeFi and of networks, and I think some of those bridges that cross between them, we're going to see, I think, stuff that we can't even think about right now. Stuff's going to happen down the line with respect to like private type of blockchains and privacy shit and the full KYC and
how far away do you think that is, Rob? Because people are like, you say like, oh, it's going to take a while. People are saying it's going to take a while to get here. That's what I'm saying. Like in the next year, well, they can clamp down on stable coins, I feel like, pretty soon and stuff like that. But if there was a time for this stuff to have a real bubble, it's got to be in the next year. And I don't think that we live in a world where DeFi didn't have a proper fucking bubble.
I'm not thinking as bubbly. I'm thinking this thing is going to be transacting so many billions and trillions of more dollars in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years that it's going to
Oh, macro wise, duh. I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm just talking like DeFi is
next. You're looking for the.
I'm looking for the fucking gigapump, the 20x my net worth, and then say, peace out, bitches. I slayed this shit. And
the bottom line, you need to have capital, because it doesn't matter what the fucking bottom is here. If it's 20, if it's 12, for what happens in that next one with the force of what you're talking about, it doesn't matter where this bottom is. You should be buying as much DeFi shit as you can. The networks that are doing stuff have value, have volume, have communities,
users.
I mean, look, I love what's going on with Sushi, and I'm going to give Jeff Dorman another shout out this week.
Dude, oh my God.
My second.
We shilled Jeff Dorman before you guys knew who he was.
What do you mean? We know who he is.
So we do. I'm just saying, the people watching, you probably hadn't heard of him until all of this Sushi drama. Or if you're one of our viewers, we shilled him first. So I just want to get that. Yeah. I just want the cloud for that.
Put that up on the notepad.
Phenomenal. What's going on in the Sushi community and this we're watching governance. We're watching this stuff in real time. It's phenomenal. I'm so much more bullish on Sushi. It's like these are living, growing, real organisms, real networks that are doing significant amounts of volume, providing real liquidity.
So Aaron Paz in chat is saying buying right now is a horrible idea. LOL. Well, I think buying right now with the intention to say, I've got $10,000 in cash and I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of DeFi right now. I think that's a bad idea. Just not necessarily, even for medium term, but just in the sense that, look, if you do watch the market reject here and grind down to 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, whatever the fucking bottom is. I have no idea. You're probably going to be depressed. You're probably going to end up selling the bottom and then you're going to miss everything. So the best way to do this is to start dollar cost averaging, and the best days to dollar cost average on are days where, like yesterday, everybody was extremely bearish.
I only dollar cost average on bearish retests. Okay.
Dollar cost average when the market is very fucking bloody, and continue to do that for the next, let's say, month or 2 months. I would imagine that you will walk away like a king. I think right now it's a great idea to be buying this shit, just because who the fuck is, we're talking about game changer shit right here.
I'm really glad that you brought that up in response to what Aaron said, because first of all, Aaron, your sentiment is right on point. I mean, the crypto fear and greed index is at an all-time low right now, which is now hit 4 times in 3 months. That's the sentiment. It's like buying is stupid because it has been now stupid for 3 months.
His sentiment is Daniel on Twitter.
Daniel on Twitter is a sentiment. Even Nick, like, he's been shorting and bearish and making money for a while, but he just started beating the drums yesterday right as we broke range lows. And I teased him today. I said, bro, you were like my partial bottom indicator, because it's almost like at the top when you start giving absurd price targets and everyone's like totally socially acceptable. Yes, because we're in a bull, and nobody's like staring at some of the signals, like whatever all those thousands of top signals we had in May were. I think everyone on this panel right now is an up and to the right over the next 10 years kind of vibe. And so my question is,
how could you not be?
What are we trying to time here? What is the, like Rob says, what's the positive EV in trying to say, oh, 1 more puke, 2 more pukes,
because 24. Let me answer that question very specifically, though. It's because we're fucking degens and we're gamblers, and I'm not in. I don't give up. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be doing in 10 years. Like, I don't know what my life's going to look like or anything. I do know for a fact, though, that crypto can bubble really hard, and then crypto can crash really hard. So I want to ride the fucking bull, and I want to ride the bubble. That's what I'm interested in. And when it does bubble, I want to sell, and then I want to laugh at everybody as they lose all their money. Like that's.
I mean, a buddy of mine said.
Dream of anything more.
Well, I didn't get to my point there. My point was, and this is actually why I bought some dips today, is because, and I say dips like, these kinds of coins. I picked up some Sushi. Because if we're all in this up to the right camp, and this is what the reload zone is, right? It's like, hey, there was a bull market, and everyone during that was like, oh, RT, like, can I buy here? Is it going too high? I was like, I don't fucking know. Do whatever you want, but I will be focusing on reload zones. That's the best advice I can give to someone when I don't give financial advice, is just get bullish in these zones. And like you said, if you get too bullish, or if you smash in too much, and it'll grind you up. It's gonna do this kind of shit, right? And it can do that for months, and you will puke, and you will throw away your bag at the most inopportune time, and then it will pump. That's usually how it goes, anyways. So, if I talk this shit all the time about DCA, about risk management. So today I finally did it. 1.8% of my total crypto holdings, and that includes stablecoins, only 1.8% across 8 bags. So if it drops 50%, I'm licking my chops. I'm not puking those positions. I don't care about that drawdown. And that's an important part of just buy the dip, is to make sure you're doing it such that you still have that position of strength. So I guess my takeaway on that comment is, if this is not where I can start adding some exposure to the long side, where can I do it, right? Do I need the 88.6? Sure. Some of them are there. Some of them are here. Am I calling for zero? Like, if I'm a bull, I need to get serious about being greedy right now. There it is. I said it.
Yeah. But think about how bad you're going to feel at that fucking, the bottom of the purple there. If it goes, I'm saying it might be a 50-50. It might be 40-60, it might be 30-70. I don't know what it is, but like there's where if this thing really is going to have a future, you want to be really loading the fucking boat.
Well, and that's why it's like 1.8%, right? Where I'm just like, and I had more cash on FTX. I was like, ooh, like I'm very, very bullish this morning. But I said no, because I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And if we get into an uptrend, there's dips, I can buy those. But I do want to get a bigger bag if we go down more. The other way to do this, and this is what I preached a lot over the last summer after the DeFi bubble, things come off. Don't necessarily sit my stink bids to buy the first dip, because bottoms do take time to form, right? There's buyers, there's sellers, there's a debate, and we're seeing that in the market right now. That's the chop. And eventually that selling dries up at some level. It could be here. We could drop to a new, and you just don't know. And it shouldn't matter, because when it does reverse, and this is something we talk about on stream, and that's the nice thing about having our weekly streams, whether it's here or Hero Labs Live on Fridays, is that when it does reverse, there are telltale signals. And they don't always play out, right? MTA had a few of those sometime in the last couple months where it kind of reversed and it showed volume, and then it just went up, retraced, and now it's just into the, when the volume, the buy volume starts picking up and we break out, and then there's going to be another dip, and that's the retest. I mean, that's the other way to do it. I'm taking 10% of my net worth and I'm putting it into this DCA plan because I said I will, and people say it works, and I've never tried it. But my size, my cash reserves, my dry powder, that's waiting for something more.
Tell me more about your size, baby.
Yeah. Tell you all about my size.
My size is
love hearing that.
Right now it's just the tip. But I'm going full,
your size should be?
Balls deep.
Full shaft in about whatever it is, a month, 2 months when I see it.
Your size should be sitting in your fucking FTX.com collateral wallet, ready to lever up a bit. When it's time, that's where you fucking...
I am one transaction away from that. I am still using Nexo, so it's like a 1 hour TX, and then I get it over there, which I did this morning for that DCA. But you know what? Look, Blockfolio. Let's talk news. Blockfolio announced this week, obviously owned by Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, all them. They announced that you can basically put any asset in there, and you get 8% APY on your first 10,000, and then 5% after that. And I want to know the extent of that any asset, because if I can do that with
USDC,
but I'd like to know what kind of shitcoins I can do, because I've got this DCA now, Ray, Oxy. Ray I'm staking, but I think it's for less than 5%. Somebody there says you can stake everything on there. If that's true,
that's onboarding, baby.
I'm signing up. Yeah,
that makes me so much more bullish. I mean, everything is just, if you take away this. I love what Nomad, how he calls it, this white noise of bearishness. And it's the same fucking thing at the top, this white noise of bullishness. It's like nothing can be said about how great it feels that we're just going higher every day. Every day it's green, green, green. Shit's popping off 30%, 20%. Shit's calming down. But it's like your trading view watch list is just green. And literally for the last stretch, the trading view watch lists have been so red. It's been, and then Twitter and everyone is just so bearish. It's this white noise. Step out of it, realize what the overall macro picture is. And that to me is that DeFi and crypto in general is going to mark up so much in fiat currency terms that step out of the emotional cesspool that Twitter is. As much as we love it, because it is a drug in and of itself, just following those feeds, it literally will drive us crazy. I think psychology is going to be one of the most bullish careers going forward because everyone is just literally batshit crazy from following social media.
Yeah.
But
that's actually what my my undergrad was in, psychology. My parents are both
there you go.
therapists. Like it's in my mindset. And I agree with you. We're going to hell in a handbasket in some ways. I got a kid coming, and I'm already thinking, like, do I get them a cell phone just so that someone can kind of like, no, hell no.
I mean, Messi had to stop tweeting from his profile that he had like for years and tweet on a private one just because it was maddening to
driving him crazy.
The inbound, like the incoming and the fucking trolling.
Yeah, it's extremely maddening.
You know, I get one salty comment and it sits with
at some point, but you know, to be honest, like in my little walled garden right now, it's a really nice place. You know, I get to speak my thoughts, unclouded, say what the fuck I want. You know, and I don't have a bunch of people tell me I'm an idiot or that I'm wrong, or you know, I'm not here to get clout or be right or wrong. You know, I'm here to make money. So that's really all that fucking matters.
I'll tell you, I've been motherfucking you in my head a bunch of times lately, but I'm not going to come at you and troll you on Twitter, but I'm going to be like, fuck, Messi's bearish. Like, you've been bearish and not wrong.
Well, it's been good, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to drink the bear Kool-Aid and be the guy that is going to be bearish on things like this. You know, I'm bearish in the sense that, you know, I know it happens after, and look, I'm going to call this, because even within a cycle, you know, there's a cycle can be, you know, composed of 3 or 4 bubbles, you know, and it doesn't matter. Like when a bubble pops, that doesn't mean that another one can't form. You know, that initial run, that was a bubble. It obviously was, because we're drawn down 50% from that. I mean, so that bubble popped. I think that a new bubble can form. And I think that this new bubble will be absolute madness, like fucking insanity level madness. So if you guys have noticed, you know, I was looking for a short entry earlier today. I didn't get my entry, but I'm not in a hurry to pile on, you know, unless we get these, like today was an anomalous event. You know, you had this Bitcoin shit and Elon and Jack were talking. Elon says he owns some Ethereum and shit. Like,
did he?
Yeah, he did. At the beginning, and that dude, he just needs to stop fucking talking. Like, he made 0 sense. It sounded like he'd smoked the fattest blunt ever, you know, before it started. Like,
who is that?
Elon Musk. At the beginning of this shit, he said that he doesn't like personally. Elon. I love Elon Musk, and if you don't like Elon Musk,
he's our day's Einstein. Trust me. If he died, he'd be like historic.
He's Tony Stark, but real life. And you know, I love Elon Musk.
He's cool as fuck. Let's be real.
But here's the thing. So this dude at the beginning says that that SpaceX, you know, and Tesla own Bitcoin, but he doesn't personally own Bitcoin. He owns Doge and Ethereum. Okay. Now, by the end of this conference, he was saying that he personally owns Bitcoin and owns much smaller quantities of Ethereum and Doge. So it's like, what the fuck was he even talking about?
No,
like,
I think at the start he did say he owned Bitcoin.
At the start, he literally said that he does not personally own Bitcoin, but that was like people were laughing that, you know, Kathy Wood sent him a DM and then his tone changed or something like that.
Yeah, get it together, kid. We're trying to bring back the bull.
All right, maybe I did misheard. Or
it'd be weird for him to
maybe I did misheard him.
I mean, look, it was overwhelmingly positive. I think a lot of people there, it's like, yeah, we know Jack Dorsey's a bull. We know Kathy Wood's a bull. Like, okay, cool. But what does Elon have to say? Who's this jerk who helped, you know, people think he crashed the market. He didn't crash the fucking market. I don't care what he said.
Elon was just kind of mumbling and bumbling on.
And he knew it. Like, right when the first question they said, like, how are you? And he's just like, well, I own a little bit of Bitcoin. I like cryptocurrency. Like, he was setting the record straight. He was not there to troll. He said, look, I'm a big fan, or I don't know, I'm a fan of cryptocurrencies in general and Bitcoin. And he was very well spoken. He basically said, we need to take a look at this energy thing. Like, I have a company that builds itself on renewables and essentially is setting out to, you know, end the addiction to oil. Like, we need to take a serious look at this for PR's sake. That's basic 101 PR. Like, the whole thing was fine.
That's a setup for success because it's not hard to get the network to be using, you know, I think the network will be a proxy for renewables and all of that. But
well, and he even said that Tesla's probably, I think he said maybe, gonna start accepting Bitcoin again. They just had to do their due diligence. He said now that China's out, the coal stuff is mostly the past. He says we're looking into it. It's actually quite a bit of renewables. But here's what I thought was really interesting, and I actually only listened to him. I was writing the newsletter, so I kind of faded out during the other guys. But the thing he said that I thought was interesting is he kind of had that little grin, and he said, "But what if we had, like a space heater?" Where that excess energy, that wasted, there's heat energy, there's light energy coming out. What if we took all that inefficiency and just pushed it into mining Bitcoin? And he kind of grinned, and I'm just like, this has been my thinking.
He's got some kind of angle there for sure.
This has been my thinking in general. We'll put Bitcoin on the map, we'll be a big fan, then we'll pull back because of environmental concerns, and then we'll release like the all-in-one Tesla mining rig that comes with solar panels attached. Boom. Massive market. Like, and you could ship them in units, and they're just self-sustaining, and they I think he's setting up for something
now.
Like that.
I'm just market buying hearing this. I'm so bullish.
Yeah, so I mean that's my hunch. I have the speculative kind of thing in my head that he is setting up. I mean, he's just said it. He's like, I'm a fan. I just want it to be fresh and renewable. Come on, he's going to create a product, and he's going to sell it, and it's going to be fucking popular, and it's probably they're talking about like small towns, excess energy. Let's funnel it all to Bitcoin. Like,
how was Jack? I'm gonna watch this. I missed it. I was driving back from the city. How was Jack?
He's always well composed. He's a hippie,
he was good.
But
he was looking.
He knows his shit, and he's smart. So
yeah, and he spoke more to the humanitarian stuff. People, Ethiopia needing the dependency on fiat currencies. They have no digital merchants, and that's a bit about what they're building over there. That sort of second layer Bitcoin stuff he talked about.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just a breath of fresh air coming out of a break of range lows. We'll see here on the chart. Like, you guys know me, bust off the bottom on volume, and I'm looking at this like dip into this reload zone as like a tasty treat. Mm-hmm. But then we lost range lows, and it's like bearish retest and dump. And I admittedly got kind of bearish. I was like, oh fuck, I guess we are going down. I actually had bids because I was like just YOLO. I was like, fuck it, I'll risk against these lows last night. Canceled them to run to dinner. And then came back and it had moved up, and I was like, fuck. And then this morning, obviously. But look, if we lose those lows like that, and there's all this, it's so bearish and this and that, where was the nuke? Where was the liquidation cascade? Where were those people that are willing to sell on that break? They kind of didn't show up. And
why wouldn't you?
Dude, spot sellers have been aggressively selling.
Who though? Because
there's still a tectonic shift from whatever's going on there with all those miners shutting down. I mean, that's natural. I've been saying this Grayscale unlock saga just unwinding, like the big dildo on that chart. Unlocks on BY. I'm like visually having nightmares of that BYBT watermark on that one chart, because I've been looking at it if I would have noticed or bought into the trend at the beginning, I'd be so much more wealthy right now. But finally, that dildo that we were looking at 4 or 6 weeks ago, like, holy shit, that's the end. Get us there. It's done. And hopefully, like, this pressure that maybe was coming from it, I don't know. I still don't understand why there's not enough. There's so much venture capital. There's so much like risk capital pouring in to crypto and investing in shit right now, that you're telling me that 15% discount, 18% discount on Grayscale Bitcoin Trust isn't some of the like best flat riskless opportunity right now? Barry,
who was it? Arc loaded up another few hundred million.
They've been loading up. I think some have the perspective though that premium is never going to return on Grayscale, and there's valid arguments.
I've heard
for
it
that.
before.
There is, but there's also Barry has said they are 100% committed to converting it to an ETF. That, like, you don't say that in a fiduciary, like in that kind of.
Yeah, you gotta take Barry seriously. You can't not.
I think it's an absolute layup. I'm expecting that to close. So what happens when people are, so these sellers who are selling the GBTC 15% under right now, are they borrowing to do so? Like, when that window kind of collapses, how much spot buying pressure will there be to potentially kind of, I don't know. That's what's going through my mind. Having that whole thing behind us, could potentially let this mean revert to where the Dow, the NASDAQ, other assets right now are not in like a bearish cycle. Look at lumber, whatever. That was a fucking, supply chain, just massive bubble. But like other assets, real estate, everything else, you selling shit 10% above your offer. Like in real estate. Here, I'm going to offer my house here. I'm going to offer my house at $1 million. Well, I'll pay you $1 million too. What the fuck is that? What world does that happen? And that's what's going on right now.
And I'll waive my inspection rights.
Bitcoin is pumping, by the way, just a little bit, but it's off this trend line. So I like that. You zoom into the 5-minute. That's my 4-hour trend line, and I'd like to see it bounce there, which is great. I was actually hoping it'll bounce lower. So if I'm being, perfectionist, I'd like to see us squeeze up here and then just drop over the weekend or some shit. That's my fill. For size, right now, that's that. I just had to interject there with live price action. But look, Messi, a second ago, you caught my ear. I put this in the newsletter today from Will Clement, W Clement 3 on Twitter for anyone who doesn't follow him. I'll show you in a sec. But, he does a lot of on-chain analytics, and I don't really look at those. I find them interesting. I just don't have a Glassnode account. So when you say tons of people are selling spot, and all I think is like, okay, so tons of people are buying too, but it's really about the urgency of the sellers in this case, the patience of the buyers. And then I want to know, well, who's buying and who's selling? And people are selling at a loss, which implies that they were late to the party this year, that the wallets that were selling, according to these analytics, are selling at a loss, which tells me it's those weak hands, it's that fun money that came in the last 3 months. And then you got to say, okay, well, who are they selling to? Which wallets are growing? And it's the whale wallets. It's the 1,000 to 10,000.
When did Elon make his announcement? That was what, 33K or something like that?
Yeah.
I would imagine that we have a lot of buyers that entered around that region. And
it was around here. I think this was
to get to levels though where those people say, "Oh fuck, I gotta sell." Sailor's average is around 27. I think 27 is about where the bottom is.
So when I see these wallets accumulating through this kind of like slow July summer doldrum following, a raging bull, and then I see bullish divergence, and then I see us lose range lows but get them right back. I mean, all of this stuff just fits. Now maybe it's like, oh, I'm looking for my bias and I'm filling it. Sure, I'm not all in. I've got some cash. Like I'm not going like, but all of this just fits. It fits really well, and I've been beating the horse for a while now, and I felt like I've been, early to the trade, as is normally the case, trying to short early in the bull, trying to long early in the bear or the correction, but it all just looks so good. And I think that the general sentiment is still so gross on Twitter. You say things like this, and you get some guys who are like, yeah, let's fucking go, I'm still a bull. But you get a lot of this like, oh, like you're an idiot, like we're in a bear market, I'm buying 20K, like it's the most easy trade of their life. I'm going to sell 30 and I'm going to buy 20. And I just think to myself, those kinds of guys, I just don't feel like they're going to get it.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. I don't fucking know what's going to happen, but that's my vibe. That's how I'm positioned.
I'm sure I sound like a ludicrous, like insane bull right now. I'm very cognizant of the short term, and I don't know. I've been saying for weeks, I don't know where the bottom could be. It could be 25, could be 20, could be 18, 12, whatever. You never know. You never know what shock could hit liquidity. But what's going to piss people off is you'll sing the same song the whole way down there, and someday you'll probably be right. If you're managing your if you're not on leverage, you're managing your spot, you're prepared for it, right? It's never going to feel good though. Like the market likes to make you not feel good. That's kind of its job. And when you feel really good, you probably should be lightening up. It's like the same. That's what I do, except for I start to feel so good so early. Yeah. I pulled out like my first big withdrawal this year in February. Like, ask me how that aged, but at least I then had that mindset where I'm like, I can take big risks now because I just took a chunk. I get it, man. But look, this felt really bad. I'll be honest. I was in a terrible mood yesterday. And it wasn't like, ooh, I'm so sad it's 1K, but I was just having a shitty day. And I thought about it and I was like, I think I'm having a shitty day because I'm, because of this fucking market, because I was sitting here thinking like, ooh, sweet spot, maybe a little dip. And I was ready to just be like, okay, fuck it. I guess we'll just wait for a few months. And I almost, and that's why I went to hunt for that long. Cause I was like, this is that kind of sentiment where like,
I've been a pretty staunch bull through this drawdown into like basically my zone where I like to long. And then even I kind of gave up yesterday. I was kind of like, okay, throw the towel in. And I thought, oh, like that's that moment where it's like the whole world just puked at once. And we sat there for a day, and I can imagine there was a lot of people that had been holding who decided to finally give in. And then we fucking $3,400 up. And I was like, oh God, it's happening. Like, you know, do you guys ever like look into that kind of more like sentiment, psychology, that moment, like everyone's breaking point seems to align, just like everyone's FOMO point seems to align sometimes?
Yeah. No,
so I caught a bit of that yesterday.
It because it was a long enough stretch to make you feel like it was literally going to be red. I can't believe it. It seems like everybody's throwing it in the towel.
Yeah. I admittedly had like 3 busted trades through this drawdown, where I was like, oh, like I should invert my chart. These are really nice, like buy the dips if you're upside down. But,
can we talk about some real bring up the rune chart. I want to look at like Thorchain, like this type of a move, that thing. I mean, the ending puke, and Daniel, you said it at some point about $3 rune is a bot. Like that thing had what I thought could have been a throw in the towel type of moment. And
they had an exploit. And what's really interesting is those same logarithmic, that same logarithmic channel for synthetics, that we were discussing earlier. Rune looks the exact same. Here's the thing though, Rune was losing that channel. And it's actually reclaimed that channel today, which is very important. If we can reclaim and hold that channel, I think Rune would be a fantastic entry.
Are you talking about the weekly on Rune?
Yeah, if you go look at weekly time frame, logarithmic, you draw, it's in a very clearly defined parallel channel. One of the interesting things, of course, Rune was exploited. If we do lose that channel, I can see Rune going to $1. And look, I'm not, certain that DeFi is going to have this giga pump in the next year. I just have a feeling, and I'm going,
I act
on my feelings, and I'm going to act on it.
I'm not sure I'm seeing your channel.
You got to flatten yourself, bro.
No. Here's the thing: you that doesn't have the full history of Thorchain. You've got to look at it. You've got to look at the full history. I use something called charts.cointrader.pro.
Oh, I have that. Yeah.
Because it sources data from CoinMarketCap and other places like that. But if you actually look at the logarithmic chart, and here I'll send you this chart. I've already got it up on my screen.
Sure.
So, if you want to share
I
it,
like doing shit on the fly. USD. I think I can pull it up. It's just not going to be. Oh, it is dark mode. Nice. All right. Thorchain weekly. Oh yeah. Okay. There you go. My bad.
But here's the thing, you're at a point right now on these charts where, if you are a believer in this shit,
which I am
too. It's like you should be salivating at the opportunity to buy Thorchain for $3 or $4 now. But still, it could be an absurd entry, like generational wealth level entry. But here's the thing, the reward here is I buy at these levels ish and I achieve generational wealth. The risk is, of course, that it breaks down. But the thing is these channels are pretty ironclad. They've held up for a long time. If it breaks down, that point of invalidation is very close. And I don't think most people will recognize or see that, this is broken down this really long-term log trend, like the party's fucking over. So for me, I'm punting here, all in punting, because it's the reward here is that I literally acquire generational wealth, and the risk is that I might lose 20 or 30% of what I have now, and I think the risk reward on that is absurdly asymmetric. Like,
if you can hold through the whole,
the fact that we even have this opportunity, to me, to buy at these levels could be absolutely absurd.
Hold on, you just said you're going all in at this low here?
Well, not necessarily.
I'm not looking at Thorchain.
Okay, but like DeFi
I'm more looking at Bancor, synthetics, like things where I see opportunity for massive growth. Synthetics is the main thing I'm interested in. because it's widely acknowledged as a blue chip. Earlier, I was talking about how we didn't see any DeFi protocols in the top 10.
Oh, look at my squiggly.
When I look at blue chips, those are the top 10 candidates. What are widely acknowledged as blue chips? Curve, Synthetics, Uni, maybe YFI. Like things like that are the ones that are going to catch these heavy institutional flows if we do get those. So I'm really interested in Synthetics because Synthetics was the shittiest of the DeFi blue chips. Everything else had a swing failure point on the highs right there. Synthetics did not. And the primary driver and reason behind that was the fact that Synthetics needed layer 2 to achieve its potential. It just was shit on layer 1 because the gas costs were atrocious. They were fucking terrible. But I think synthetic assets are one of the biggest territories in DeFi. And I think Synthetics is poised to be the industry leader there.
Shout out to my squiggly from last week, eh? Come on.
That squiggly is fucking right on.
We're coming into resistance here. Cool your tits.
thing.
Let's see what this this little reload zone is, and we're on it. I think I need to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you fucking get filled?
I didn't. No, I don't trade anything ever. I just write it on a chart and then FOMO to the resistance later. But no, I think I need to add this to my.
A liquidity tool for your.
I think I need to. I might have to pick some up. You know, because I'm in this kind of mode where I'm like, okay, you know, I got my futures account. I actually just started up a fresh trade journal on EdgeWonk. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to get refocused on systemic trading. But I've got this other chunk of cash that's kind of set aside for DCAing. And I think I'm going to just add Synthetics here today. Because, like, fuck it. I don't need to guess at it anymore.
I mean, look, here's the
1%
thing.
in.
Synthetics is like a $1 billion cap. Like, if we're talking top 20, we're talking potential to go 20, 30, 40x here. Absolute insanity and liquid. We're talking about guys with $1 million becoming a 20 or 30 millionaire. Like it's just fucking crazy to think about.
I know someone I just found out this week put $600 into SHIB, peaked at $16 million.
Holy shit!
Just a quick shout out. I'm not going to name
I've never
names,
had a win like that.
but they literally just punted in 2 ETH when it was worth $300 a pop. And at SHIB, I guess.
Can you imagine though? I mean, going from $600 to 14 million in a period of maybe 2 months and not selling, like
incredible. I mean, that's the thing. And I know, like, somebody messaged me on Twitter. They were like, "Oh, this is so depressing when SHIB took off," because they had done that. They bought, like, you know, $1,400 worth. It should have been worth like 5.6 million, and they sold it for like 20K.
Well, I've a good friend of mine, Brad Mills, and he's been public about this, so I feel comfortable discussing this on stream. But he bought Hex at the giga lows, and he decided that he was such a Bitcoin maximalist that he just felt so dirty and disgusting having this Hex. He bought like 0.1 BTC worth. And it was just an atrocity that he had exchanged Bitcoin for Hex in general. Like, it was just the worst thing ever to him. So he gave away his Hex to some random guy. He just said, he posted like, "Who the fuck wants this shit?" Some guy was like, "Oh, me," and he gave away his Hex. Well, that Hex today would be worth $1.2 million.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I will say
125x. Yeah.
Colin, I was going to tell you anyway. Remember the guy who was super, super bullish on the AVAX really early?
Yeah. Tell me he cleaned up.
He
sell?
He actually, this new Pulse chain thing, which is an Ethereum.
I was just going to ask about that. It's a Hex thing. Yeah.
This guy actually, I don't know, you know, scam, not scam. I don't know, Richard Hart. I don't know the Hex thing, but this guy actually was in Hex. Like, he believed in the mechanism or whatever. He was in that early, and he wrote in this chat group I was in that Pulse chain is like
big.
Thinks it's gonna moon.
Yeah,
so
it's funny.
I haven't looked into it. I looked at it at the site. I was like, should I really do this? I did not. I didn't touch it. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. If like,
I'm looking for it. Yeah.
I don't know. It's this new.
To me, okay. So gall miners. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
Okay, so this is like OG level scam. 2014 maybe. There's this guy Josh Garza who released something called a hashlet, A hashlet was cloud mining compute that you could purchase, and it was so great because one hashlet was like started out as like $5, and then there was such huge demand for them. Then he jacked the price to 15, and then there was such huge demand for him. He jacked the price to 50, and then you could buy a special edition 9/11 commemorative hashlet that had a special skin on it. We're just talking about a fucking JPEG, right? That has hashing power attached to it for $60. And then eventually it was a Ponzi scheme, right? It was a scam. The guys that got in early made a shitload of money, including myself. I had another buddy of mine that bought in early and never sold and lost all his money. But the second thing he did was called Paycoin. Paycoin was the pivot from the first scam into the second scam to squeeze every last bit of juice out of these dumbasses. You know, hey guys, we have partnerships with Walmart, Amazon. We're going to have a $20 price floor. Paycoin is going to be the money future of the internet, like all this stuff. It always makes me very hesitant. And not to say that Richard Hart is a scammer or that Hex is a scam, because I truly just don't know. But it makes me very, very hesitant when you pivot from one thing that has just been going up forever, has outperformed fucking everything, has done, 400, 500, whatever, X, like
92,000%.
I'm going to pivot from this to Pulsechain, and when you read the disclaimer, holy shit, blow that disclaimer up if you wouldn't mind.
It's bad.
No,
it's why I didn't send anything, but I think, like, especially now that Rob's is like my AVAX guy's into it, like that guy, I can punt one at it.
You were sacrificing to prove how strong you believe that blockchains are speech, and speech is a protective human right. I mean, what is the target audience of this? Who are they speaking to here? Because it sounds like crazies to me.
It might be fucking normies, homie. Like, I don't know who this is. Is this the COVID? Is this the new generation of people in their basements growing up? And what?
Is this the TikTok crowd that put Doge and?
I looked at this before I left the house this morning, and I was like, sacrifice. The fuck? Like, I'm gonna link my MetaMask to this shit. Like, I was out the door, but. I don't know.
So in a nutshell, and this is my take, so somebody in the chat, if you know better, let me know. But basically, it's like sacrifice / burn or / send in Ethereum. There might be some other assets you can send in, like Hex.
Look, I think you've got it. I think everybody here has to put like 1% of their net worth into this pulse chain. I think
just as like an idiot tax.
I think you are a potential payoff.
But point is, you do that. My take on it, and again, I've just read this page, so I haven't gone any deeper, but they are trying to fork, or they are forking the Ethereum chain, and every asset that exists on Ethereum will be mirrored and exist on there, and there will be new price discovery for all of those assets. So there's this sense of like, will they be worth the same? Will they be worth less? It's going to be faster with less fees, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like, we're going to be an ETH killer, except for we're actually just copying ETH completely.
Hey, I've got $1 million of USDC on Ethereum, and now I have $1 million of USDC on Pulse Chain. How the fuck does that work?
It's like a BCH fork kind of thing, where you're like, where the hell did that value come from? And yet there's still like top 10, BCH. So I don't know, but what I do know is that
I think it's some kind of tax evasion scheme, to be honest, especially when you look at the wording about how you sacrifice these things for these things that are worth nothing.
Oh yeah, we're giving you nothing for this. You expect nothing.
Evasion, that's how normal. Tax code would behave. But I will tell you this, and I think the homie might be in the chat right now on YouTube, but this Pulse chain has some extremely loyal and dedicated followers and supporters, because someone slid into my DMs with like a whole host of information, and it was detailed information about why this thing is going to moon, and they solicited it. Like, there's some real believers, which means they're like mobilizing and getting out there. I don't know what the fuck this is, but it could be a sacrifice. I mean, shit, look at like the BitClout social tokens. To think about this, the money I dumped into creator coins of Ariana Grande and these people and that people, why not throw some shekels into...
Well, that's exactly what my takeaway was. Like, I didn't do it that day, and the price does go up. I think you get 5% less, whatever.
You got to drop. You just got to drop a little bit in.
I'm going to punt. I am going to punt like an ETH I don't know, 2 ETH. I don't have a whole lot of ETH. I don't think I only have like 10 right
if
now.
this somehow does like go 100x or whatever, like you get rich and then you get to drink the tears of everybody that is salty and calling it a scam and whatever.
Well, and if it dies, then I just say goodbye to another bag of fucking money. Like I'm used to that now. I'm numb.
If it dies, it dies. But I think I need to do some research on this Richard Hart fellow because it seems like he's got a knack for. It's almost like a David. Like it seems like he's getting a cultic following.
Yeah, apparently he is super. And this is not. I can't confirm, but somebody I trust told me yesterday like he's super fucking toxic for like community wise. That's what that was our friend Cote. That's what Nick told me yesterday. So, whatever for what it's worth. But look, does anyone care how he carries himself if you can make a few bucks? I mean, BSV has a following and Craig Wright's like a fucking whatever. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, you're AVAX guy and you now sort of putting this in my ear and the 2 or 3 other people that put it in my ear the other couple of days are like, these are the guys that are banging out 25Xs on shitcoins still. Like in the last week, there was a 25X on friggin' Save Britney Spears coin.
Jesus.
This is the kind of guy who's in on that because, once you make a few big plays like that, you can start to punt around a little bit. And for every 10 that miss, the one's worth $1 million. They're banging out 25Xs in the shadows during the bear. I think I can punt a little into this. I'm not here to tell someone else to it. I fully expect to lose every dollar I send.
So are you getting is this an airdrop? I mean, I don't think we need to start doing research on this thing right now. But airdrop type of like
delete everything we just said. We are not endorsing Pulse Chain, but no, I as a ape, I feel like this is one that fuck it, put one or two.
I don't even want to hear the counter. Here's what I hear, like Bogdanov saying right now. It's that it's not the bottom yet because we're still willing to throw money into fucking post-chain sacrifice. Yeah. We haven't bottomed.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. Then that's why I think on all these like coins and shit, I do think we're gonna look at Aave, look at synthetics, like look at these blues, right? These things reacted really, really violently off their recent lows. I mean, these things went 100%. I mean, rapid send. I would imagine that it's either A, reload zone and send, like you've got depicted there, or B, sweep the lows, but do it fast. That'll create bull divs everywhere, and then we'll send from that. It's going to be one of those two scenarios. I would really, really like to sweep the lows just because that's where my bids are. And I know for a fact that any fucking person left holding that shit when you sweep the lows is going to go, God damn it, I'm a fucking idiot. I lost all my money. I can't believe I invested in this. This is going to zero.
So you'd be much more comfortable, with that.
That's just in terms of psychology. I really do feel like that would be a better representation of true depression in the markets. And that's why I think the same thing for Bitcoin, because like I said earlier, there's still hope right now. And I don't remember any period like this to where these emotions develop this rapidly. And I haven't seen this depression yet where people, start, because I mean, fuck, maybe we do go to $20,000 Bitcoin and stuff, but no one's seriously, at least now, talking about that 12,000 target. I think when we start getting people getting hyper, like retarded bearish, that's going to be a sign. Maybe you've seen it and I haven't.
Well, look, here's exactly what you're talking about. You reminded me of an Atom chart. So I was putting this on our Twitter like last June. And it's this kind of thing, right? Down into the reload zone, spring off of it, nice volume, and then you just come in and just cheeky little sweep of the low, and then launch.
See, I love that because in April, like I really see parallels between that and then the price action of Aave and both synthetics. So honestly, here's the best thing to do if you don't want a DCA. Most of these things are going to put in a higher low after sweeping, and you can see that on that Atom chart. That's where you would ideally buy for the least amount of risk.
Yeah, I think the takeaway for me from a lot of what we're saying today is like this is absolutely getting close to the time to pay very close attention, right? Yep. It's and the market has this way of making you look left when you should be looking right, or maybe taking a week off because you're so sick of that downtrend we've been in. And then what I would say is just kind of linger and wait for the subtle signs. And the subtle signs for me do not include, approval from the masses. Like, oh, we're in a bull. Like that'll happen when the price is much, much higher. So I almost look for the opposite. And if you look here just objectively at this chart, if someone up here said like, oh, we're going down, when should I look for synthetics? Well, I'd say, well, let's get into the reload zone. Let's get some bullish divergence, which is what we have here on the MACD. Don't really have it on the RSI. I don't need 2 out of 2, but I'd like it. But the MACD is showing that this move slowed, and then it put in bullish market structure. It got a big breakout on new highs in volume, and then it came into the reload zone of that. I mean, that's the 3 parts that I look for in a long setup. And then if somebody at that level that I should be buying comes and says, oh, you're an idiot, we're going lower, that's almost like a cherry on top. I'm like, perfect. Because
can you imagine if these altcoins made new lows and saying you bought? I mean, can you imagine the people, the venom the reply guys would be throwing at you?
See, that's the nice thing about not only my low following count, which is fine. I'm not here to grow a big following. I've been here 4 years. I would have done it by now if I was trying really hard. I'm sure I could have. It's not in my best interest to have a big following, I don't think. Case in point, you needing to abandon your Twitter because it was so fucking awful. Like, how much money did you make off that Twitter following? Probably nothing, but a lot of stress, right? So I don't have that desire. But secondly, my style isn't such that I get in shit when I'm wrong, right? I'm always on here just telling people I don't have a fucking clue, manage risk. It could go up, it could go down. I don't ever say things like, this is going to make you money. I just don't. And I do that to hedge, like, I don't want people losing. I hate the idea that people are taking bets that I'm taking and losing money. Like, you hear these sad stories of a guy who's like got a family and he's kicked out of his house and his kids don't have a dad and they don't have money. I don't want that on my head. Like, so that's something I've always been really careful about. And then people are gonna still take risks based on shit that I say, but I got to do my part, and the rest is, like, if I say all that shit and those disclaimers, like, you just be hard pressed to come see me about it if you fuck up. Like, I sit here and just preach risk management every day.
Yeah, I hate the trolls and shit. I wouldn't be sticking around for that either. So yeah. I don't,
And I'm very liberal with blocking too. I think a lot of people feel like, because once someone blocks you, oftentimes someone will like screen grab it and be like, oh, he blocked me, what a pussy. And it's like, but dude, you literally are just deleted from my life now. I never have to spend another ounce of energy.
I mean, anybody who
like miss me with that salt,
like
bro.
That, like, you're obviously living rent free in their head. So.
Yeah, miss me with all of that salt. I don't need it. So I block pretty liberally, and that's probably, I don't know who the fuck I blocked. Like, they don't exist. Like,
I think Messi. There were a couple guys in the chat who were asking you to okay them,
let them in,
follow your private. So I think we should let a few people.
No. Look, guys,
we're gonna do a giveaway here.
And I said this, when I made that account, I'm letting very, very few people in. If you are a member of our Discord, and I posted a permanent link to that, I've got my own channel in there that is open to anybody that wants to join and be in that channel can join. And I update that channel with way more than I could ever put out on Twitter, almost every single day, with my thoughts. And look, I'm not always, and this is something I want to stress here. I'm not always right about the market. I'm just not, I do my best to have my finger on the pulse. I do my best to make decisions, to have theses and to execute on those. But this is in regards to myself, anybody else you may follow, you really need to learn and focus on educating yourself so you can have your own plan and your own thesis, and especially these larger accounts, they might not even realize it, but they're always going to be selling you something. Whether that's selling you hopium, selling you sadness, selling you whatever. That's one of the relieving things about having a smaller account and following is, I don't have to be in a position to sell anything. I can just be me. But I'm probably not going to accept your follow request. Don't take it personally because it's totally not. That's why we
Discord.
That's why we have the Hero Labs Discord.
I want to get some more voice going in Discord too.
No, for sure. That'd be super cool.
We should do some voice sessions. I like getting Rob on the horn in the mornings when it's like, let's take a look at the market. I mean, one thing you got to know about Rob, he's balls to the walls working on hero stuff. Like, that's why we don't get Dan a lot of weeks because he's just very, very busy. Rob's the same, but Rob still trades. He's a shooter. He's in there looking at shit. You know, you're a trader at heart.
Okay.
And when we have our morning trade sessions, it's probably my favorite thing. So yes, let's do voice.
Yeah, we'll start doing some more voice chats because we have done a couple of those, and honestly, they've been really cool. Just because we get to have like, you know, people that you may not hear anywhere else kind of step up and have a voice and, you know, share their thoughts
and ask. And I'm always like fascinated by what people ask, because I'm like, oh yeah, shit, like I didn't point that out, or that's a really good thought. I get a lot of my best trades from this channel and the viewers that watch this show when we do Hero Labs Live on Fridays. Like, guys, like, take a look at this chart, and I take a look. I'm like, okay, I'm longing, and then, you know, yeah, it's good value.
I had I popped my cherry on Twitter Spaces last night. I for some reason I was in the office. I had a late call on right before I was gonna hit the sack. I saw Dale was doing a Spaces and Nomad was in there.
Yeah, I got a pang of FOMO this morning when I heard that you had been in there. He's tagged you. I was like, oh, I saw him going live too.
I joined my first one for a while. I didn't even know, like, Dale gave me a shout. I didn't even know like how to turn the mic on, how to talk. I was just like, it said I was a listener. I'm like, all right, I'll listen. And then I figured it out. It was great. It was cool.
I saw him going live. It was something like, I'm drunk, I might do a Spaces. And then like Ledger was like, good night, Dale. And I was like, I had a good laugh. And then I just went to bed. And when I woke up and heard that you guys had a blast, I was a little butthurt. I was a little sad, but yeah, let's do more of that kind of stuff. I think in our Discord, if you guys aren't in, it's in the description. That should be an infinite link, so it's probably not expired. So check that out.
Dale,
but it's free. Like and I'll tell you what. At first, it was like, oh, we have a trading pit. You know, Telegram. I couldn't keep up with it. But I start off a lot of my days checking the pit. Like it's a good crowd in there.
Hey, can we do one thing here?
I guess
it's July 21st. It's late July. All right, we've been kind of waiting for late July for Ethereum, EIP 1559. We haven't talked about Ethereum lately. We're talking about DeFi. How does Ethereum look right now? Like, a lot coming down the pipe here.
Let me say something that I think is very telling when it comes to Ethereum. You know, we did have an Ethereum bubble, during Dogecoin, Dogcoin mania, whatever. Right. You know, that bubble popped. We are pulling back. But Ethereum is an extreme growth asset, and I think that what we've seen on the Ethereum networks is nothing short of extraordinary in the last year. You know, we're finally seeing the use case for Ethereum realized, which is extremely exciting. Now, when I look at Ethereum right now, one of the most telling things for me is the Ethereum strength versus Bitcoin. You know, if this was over, if Ethereum was going back to $400, whatever, I highly doubt we would be seeing that degree of strength versus BTC. It just, in my opinion, that wouldn't make any fucking sense. So I honestly do think that Ethereum is poised for continuation. I think that the flippening narrative is still very much on the table.
All right. I did pull it up today. This is kind of a fresh chart I made today. I've been playing with these kind of Gann 50/50s. I think when you have sort of a laissez-faire market, sometimes you just get this kind of more physics-driven market, and that would be, half the rally, half the time. So I'd be curious to see what we get at the end of August if we do end up against some of these 50 levels, which also has other technical objectives that make sense.
I think it's going to be God Candle month in August.
Well, okay, so like we had a bit of a paradigm shift with you here today, which is exciting, because I was a little worried we were going to get in here and talk about throwing up and selling our bags at the lows.
No. Look, I'm bearish, but I'm not a perma bear. And I do see some signs of extreme exhaustion, and with potential catalysts, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that's the word, is exhaustion of the bears at the lows yesterday. Like that was like, oh, range lows are gone. Let's just sit here.
Here's what people are disregarding is the fact that the cycle is very much accelerated, and they're looking at this in the context of and I've spoken in this context, but to be taken a different way. When you cannot look at this through the lens of 2018, because it's not the same. That doesn't mean that we have plenty of pulling back to do. We definitely can, but when Ethereum gets to 1,600. There's a very significant chance, in my opinion, that is going to be the intergalactic generational bottom. Because
Daniel, I know, but that's only 20% better than right now. I mean, so
Well, it's just like Rob. In a bull market, strong hands is a thing. You have to have strong hands, and you have to squeeze out every last percentage, to the upside. Well, in a bear market, I've got very strong hands on my dollars, and those dollars are getting deployed as close to points of invalidation as I can possibly deploy them.
Yeah.
The reason being is because if I am wrong, I can go in this with a mindset that if I'm wrong, I will know it almost immediately. I can cut it almost immediately, and then I sit here and it's gonna suck. Nobody wants this to go lower, but I can sit here and I can fucking wait it out, and then I can come in and I can not get totally fucking shreked. Like that's my mentality here, and that's why I am going to go all in. When it comes down to those levels, I really do think that if you think the sentiment is fucking trashed right now and there's fear in the air, oh my God, at those kind of prices, people will be shitting themselves. Anybody that says anything bullish will be painted as the biggest retard you've ever seen. Like,
so that's the true Goblin Town.
That's Goblin Town. And the thing is people are looking at this in the context of 2018. Ethereum is going to experience a larger percentage downside move than Bitcoin. Ethereum had a parabolic top, but I totally agree that Bitcoin's top wasn't parabolic. Why does the bottom have to be parabolic? I think we're going to grind down, and I think we're going to see some fucking action, and I think it's going to be soon. But I am being very patient, and I'm buying as close to my points of invalidation as I possibly can.
How about, if you see a few more kind of days where buyers are in control and it's clear that there's been a regime change, where there's some committed, motivated like buyers who aren't necessarily price sensitive, that they're allocating. Like, at what point do you then say, you know what, the next pullback or this retest, I'm going to deploy some capital because I don't think the odds of me getting these lower levels are as good as they were back when we were in like quasi Goblin Town in like July 18, 19, 20.
Because I would like to, when I enter, I would like to fade sentiment. I don't want to be the guy that bandwagons sentiment. If I was the guy that bandwagons sentiment, I would have bought the top on Ethereum and Bitcoin today. And I didn't. Yeah. I do think that, market structure, when I look at this, the trend it's not very strong. It's not like we're nuking, right? But the trend is bearish. It just is.
Let's look at July 2017 while you discuss. I'm going to be trading.
I would need that trend to reverse to enter. And here's the thing. If I'm right, and we do see this DeFi bubble where we do see Uniswap, synthetic, shit like that in the top 10, if I have to buy these things 30, 40, 50% higher, at the end of the day, I still end up rich as fucking hell. Like, maybe instead of having $80 million, maybe I only have $40 million or 60. Like, but I don't really feel like, knowing that, hey, the trend is bearish and I can either buy in 30, 40% higher, when I'm absolutely certain that we are going up and everybody else is denying that fact, or I can fade extreme sentiment to the downside and buy close to invalidation. Like, right now, I'm still very much in no man's land, but I do have a plan for either scenario.
I completely get what you're saying, completely. It seems to me, based on your, the 30, 40% and all that, to me, like, I'd be allocating more here. I just don't know what the probability, the split is of how you should be distributing, how much you think you're going to be able to deploy, how much fiat are you going to be able to dump on this fucking Goblin Town.
Everything I want is liquid as fucking shit. And it's deploying large amounts of capital. I don't believe will be an issue, especially in a red candle.
That's a big spread. If you're waiting for 10, 20% more, but then if things turn and you're willing to buy at 40, 50% higher, just because how, at that point, how much higher we're going to go, it seems to me like you should be deploying some fiat here. And maybe I'm just, we're.
And here's
depends
why
on the name. SNX looks ready.
No.
Here's why
I won't deploy fiat here yet. We have trapped longs fresh ass trap longs from today. Fresh, okay?
Fresh.
I haven't seen them get liquidated yet. I want to grind those out, and then we can go up. Like, here's the thing. We didn't have anybody to liquidate at 29. And if I don't think that we're going to 20K, you know, if we'd kept grinding down from 29 to 28 to 27, I still doubt that there would have been heavy liquidations. You know, I just don't think that the liquidations were in that area. But we've got some fresh liquidations to take care of today. We've got some moon boys that bought today. I think we're going to grind them out, and then we're going to go up. That's just the way things work. Because, I mean, are we really, did all these people with all of this hope, Alameda bought, oh my God, Elon Musk is doing this thing. Like, that's a lot of excitement. You know, are we really going to let all those people fucking long the exact Pico bottom and just ride this shit into glory? Maybe. I don't know. But if we do, here's the thing. When we go up, people still have this recency bear market PTSD, you know, from this recent correction. And I can see us going up, you know, getting rejected there. And then that's when I'm hunting for, okay, are we seeing signs of a regime change here? Are we seeing, you know, buyers step in? You know, are we seeing, most importantly, are we seeing spot buyers step in instead of just fucking apes going crazy on derivatives? Like, those are all really important things that I would be looking for.
Yeah. I think there's probably going to be some opportunities in the derivative space that the forward curve has come in a lot. I mean, you're looking at the 5-month futures now with, you know, relatively little spread. RT, if you can pull up, like, even on FTX, the BTC 1231 future minus BTC USD on or minus BTC perp, whatever you want to use, and just show like kind of what the December future basis has done. It's like, you know,
what is it? Okay, BTC 1231.
BTC 112. Yeah, there you go. And then minus like BTC USD on FTX.
Okay.
And that shows like the December future basis. And so that was a puke. Clearly, that must have been like, or that wick. But
that was bad. That was log before, yeah.
Could be a bad. But what's it trading over right now on there? I mean,
so this is the spread between December's futures and current spot price?
Yes.
So when it's going down, you could presumably say like the premium is lower and lower and lower, the opportunity higher.
Yeah. So this is like an option almost, that if we get some mojo in the market and some capital flows in, this forward curve, these futures end up trading well above spot, because there's the funding mechanism, right? Are you going to sit in paying long perpetual future, paying this massive daily, hourly funding rate? Or do you want to get into a future where you know the premium, I'm paying $1,000 over spot, but I'm not going to get dinged every day. I'm just playing the instrument to get long. So this thing is like all the juice came out of the forward curve. These futures, like now we should start looking at March and start looking at June of next year. If you're at all bullish, like now would be a great time to, instead of buying spot, you start buying some of these far out futures, because it's like, you know what you can lose. At the very end, it's going to converge to what spot is. So you can lose the premium it's trading right now. But if we get a little bit of life in this market, you can bet that those futures contracts are going to trade with a greater premium to spot than they are now. And so you've got a little bit of extra kind of optionality, a little extra kind of mojo in it.
So Rob, what are you, because I don't know as much about, you know, backwardation, forwardation, contango, like all that kind of stuff. It's something that I want to learn, but what would you be looking for specifically here as like a very clear indication that the regime has shifted?
I don't know what that indication would be. All I'm saying is right now, buying deferred futures, buying a futures contract that expires in December or March or June, it's trading with much less premium. It's trading with much closer to where the spot is. than it was when the market has some risk built into it, when there's some like life in it. And
well,
then,
this thing was trading at a premium of over 16,000 in April.
yes, it was.
17,000.
So that was when Bitcoin was 60,000 and the December future was like 76,000.
So what you're saying is if you do want to get long, why not just get fucking long these forward futures? And not only do you collect upside, but you'll collect the premium difference as well?
Well, it's not that you would, well, yes, if it rallies, you're going to collect premium in a big way, but you know what premium you can lose, right? If it's trading $1,000 over and you're buying a $34,000 Bitcoin, you know that if Bitcoin's 33,000 right now, you're paying 34,000 for the December future. You know that over the next 5 months and 10 days, that $1,000 premium is going to collapse because it's going to converge at settlement at spot. But if the market does pick up and some risk capital flows back in, that thing could easily be trading $3,000, $4,000 over in the month of October, like with just 2 months to go. So got a little extra.
And you could sell it. Yeah. What happens if it goes down? Newbie
you know
question.
Where your bottom is.
So like my 715 right now is the premium.
Yeah, that's it.
I buy those futures. They like go down.
So what you're saying is you're going to have exposure to Bitcoin's movements, right? Yeah. But the most you can lose relative to Bitcoin, unless we go into backwardation, would be that $700 or whatever.
Correct. Think about it as this: you can say, "I'm going to get long Bitcoin. I know that from now until expiration, December 31st, my total amount of funding payments is $715." So right now, I'm saying that's a better bet than just being long the perp over time, which would be like if things get juicy again, that $715, like it'll be a lot more over the same 5 months as buying the D's future right now. So like I think it's value. It's come in a tremendous amount, and I would even be looking out to what the March one is trading in June.
I couldn't find it.
Go to Deribit. So Deribit probably has those. And then you start looking at going out a year, going out 9 months. And if you believe that within the next 9 months or a year, we're going to get some bullishness in this market, you'd probably, that's probably a good risk reward trade. And you have a limited risk. You know that at expiration, it's going to, the worst it can do is trade at par, right? It's not going to trade 1,000 under. So you know what your loss is, and you've got kind of like a little asymmetric call in your pocket.
Yeah, I know. I like it. This is why we need to do some more voice in Discord, because I hear you, but then in my brain, I try to put it together, and I'm like, well, like I could buy that future. Is it assumed that then when it expires, it settles in Bitcoin in the sense that they give me spot Bitcoin? Is that the idea?
Well, it doesn't. It's just that your account marks to where spot Bitcoin is. This is a cash settled future.
Oh, okay. So I get the cash.
Yeah, it's not physically settled, so it's just your account, whatever.
But I feel like, okay. But like I could lose more than the 700, but it would just it would have been the same if I bought spot or perp.
Yeah.
Because if I buy it at 33 and it ends up at 20, like I lost 13K, but versus just spot, I only got an additional 700 that I lost.
Correct. And that's that's the cost of being in that instrument rather than being in spot. But you can trade it maybe 3-to-1 leverage. You can maybe,
there's tools now with it. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So,
well, look, guys, I hope you're learning stuff, because Rob knows what he's doing. He's turned.
You gonna learn?
He turns dust into dollars, but that's all like if you are bullish.
Yeah,
and that's the big caveat. If you think,
Clemens in the chat's bringing up a good point. Yes, futures can go below spot. That's path risk. But if you can finance your position through expiration, it's going to expire at spot. So there is path risk. But if you can hold and finance the position to expiration, the most risk is to convergence with spot. But in between, we call that path risk. It can trade below. And I'll tell you what, on a reputable exchange that you trust with that sort of counterparty, anytime the futures are below spot, they're just they're giving you edge. They're saying if you put capital on our exchange, like you can collect this edge, and if you can finance the position, there's yield there. Same way with the other way.
So those futures you're saying, like, and that's why people say, like, on those crazy dumps, you and Dan would be like, oh yeah, like futures were in backwardation, like we were buying, because it's probably going to correct at least to a bit above that, is what you're like. That's kind of why, because you've called me before, you're like, bro, like this is a crazy nuke, like we're longing here, like futures are just off the charts down, like taking deep positions.
So what the market makers would do, like Alameda or whoever, you'd be buying a future under spot, and then you can sell out your spot. And so you way rather like use your capital that way. So you can, that's what really keeps these things in line. And then the difference that these futures trade from spot really indicates what the risk-free, what are the funding rates, right? What does this forward rate curve look like? And in Bitcoin, it tells you one thing. In corn and soybeans and oil, it tells you other things. It tells you about real deliverability. It tells you about supply chain. It tells you about seasonality. Like those things trade, those curves trade differently than like a financial product, like the Eurodollar or the S&P or the Dow or something.
This is advanced stuff. If you guys are watching and you're like, God, they lost me, get back to the shitcoins, you're not alone. I mean, I've been trading 4 years. I've never really looked into this till I started hanging out with Rob last year, and I still have as many questions as I'm asking. So just in case you guys are watching, you're like, they've lost me. This is the more advanced shit. But this is also who you're trading against. If you're completely lost here and you're thinking like, damn, I'm up against it, hit the books. Like it's a competitive landscape, and not only can it go below zero, but this spread actually did just on June 22nd when we had that big old shake and bake down below the range. I'll go find it over here.
Before Sam Fried was saving the world, he was trading this shit against you all day long.
Yeah, I remember him on BitMEX. He ruined my day twice. I stopped trading leverage that year. Look, I did a quick little chart on the BCH fork back in July 2017. It is a very different situation. It's a very different market, but I thought it's worth a look simply because July often sucks. And somebody on Twitter, they said, doesn't this feel a lot like July 2017? And it does. It's different reasons. It's different news, blah, blah, blah. But, the gist of it is when you get these, if it's going to be just a correction, because this was a little mini bear market. I was kind of new. I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't charting, but at the time, I remember feeling it, and I did puke a lot of my position on this. I was like, because you're thinking about it, you're down. I'm still up, but I don't want to go down anymore. And then here, I was like, oh yeah, it's a bear market, and I thankfully kind of ate back in shortly after, so I ended up being part of the bull. But if we're looking for a continuation, I agree. Like this is kind of what Messi's talking about, right? You have your range, and then you just puke it. And guys like me in 2017. Fairly new to the market, 2 months in, like you've been saying, they're full Wojak mode. It's like everything, and then you get this nuke up, and you can't, you're not going to catch it. You're not going to be like, oh, I'll just buy when it reverses, and that's where we get things like the pump chaser zone. We can start looking at those little pullbacks after this, and this is probably smarter than what I'm doing in many ways, like trying to front run the reversal. That's what a reversal will look like. If we get it, most likely.
Is that today? Are we the first day in that? No, we're not, because we didn't go deep enough down. But I'll tell you.
I feel like this is what Messi's talking about, right? Because this was a breakdown. And then a couple of days later, we had a nice move up.
You are here? I don't want to be there.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's like 11th of July, that green candle. I feel like that's exactly where we are right now.
That's today. And then we're going to have everyone's like, oh, I'm going to get fully long again. And then there's the big puke. And
we're going to blow them out. And then we're going to shit on everybody that long those new, or that shorted those new lows. We're going to use that fuel, and we're going to go up.
And rocket fuel. And the good news is, if we get that, there's still going to be bears lurking. Right? There's still going to be people trying to short.
They'll short all the way up.
They're going to short against our highs. Point being, if we get this, and if I feel like I'm offside, and I'm like, oh no, like I was out and now I'm not in, I'm still going to wait for that final dip, because it's almost guaranteed that right before the big takeoff, you just get that final retest. And if you look far enough on any chart, at the base of every major breakout, you can basically see that happening. It's just a little W, a little retest, and then it goes. So all that to say, for all the trying to catch it that I've been doing, I could probably just wait for that. And for a good proportion of my dry powder, that's what I'll be waiting for.
Wait, let me see. No, that's bigger. Look at that.
That's what I'm saying. This is totally
dildo there.
Yeah, no, this is totally different though. This was a 3-month, like this drawdown has been 3 months. I mean, it is very different. I was just saying, there was some interesting comparisons there on a July basis.
Look
July,
at the fuck you on that range, the range high test a couple weeks, or a month ago. Look at that fuck you right there, and then the bottom. That was nasty.
That was rude.
Holy cow.
I remember it too because I had picked up Bitcoin on this dip, and then I was like too chicken shit to like take my profit at range highs, and then I ended up selling it for like a very tiny profit. I was very upset, and then I longed it twice too early. Yeah, I know.
That's when Daniel really turned and went to like lead goblin of goblins.
Yeah, like from the head of the apes to the head of the goblins.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I find the Goblin Town reference fun. As a Lord of the Rings fan, like that's like it brightens my day when I'm feeling like shit in the bear. I'm just like, oh, Goblin Town. That's slightly a little bit of levity in there.
I didn't know where it was from. So that's from Lord of the.
No, it's just Lord of the Rings has like goblins and shit in it. I don't think it's from that, but
yeah,
it's from like we're all fucking nerds, right? Crypto is really just like nerd central for the most part.
Yeah,
we try to be cool and flex our nice things, but we're all just these cyber
really
nerds.
A pretty dark part of the simulation. Goblin.
Yeah, so Daniel's vibe is that this is the final sort of FU, get yourself long so we can puke you out, and then that'll fuel up the launch.
RT, just out of curiosity, how long of a duration have we been like since that downward impulse off of complacency? How long have we been in this regime relative to how long we were in that God candle from Elon and distribution top?
It's a month. It's a month short, I think. I did this mentally the other day because I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it, and it does look symmetric in a sense.
It looked like it.
75, 74. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. From like the bottom there, then to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at this. I don't know what we're looking at, except for that I measured sort of, this was the Elon candle.
A little bit longer until like the complacency top, I'd say.
And then this was your complacency shoulder.
So he wants to go there and then see how this fucking leaning long.
So that's about one more month. So, I mean, if this we see symmetry a lot in markets, not to say that this would be an example of that, but if it were, I could see next month being something like we've got this upward impulse, and then we retrace it, and that's when bears really start getting, cocky and shit.
Frothy.
But that's actually the disbelief, phase of this market.
This would probably be the worst for me. Is if we actually do get my long here, and then we squeeze up, we sweep these highs, and then we just like puke out proper, and then that's the bottom. Like that would probably hurt me the most. I gotta find a way to avoid
whatever
getting
it is. I highly doubt that we actually named this scenario, and I bet it's gonna suck.
All just bullshit.
Yeah.
This is all just conjecture, guys. We don't have a fucking clue. This
is literally the Stegosaurus, but when we pull back and zoom out, this is going to be like the left shoulder of an upward leading head and shoulders, where the head's going to be massive.
God.
That's the dream. This thing is just a little left shoulder on what's to come.
So I'm seeing all this news. I don't know if you guys follow these FinTwit news sources and stuff. If you don't, you should find a few good ones. Just to hear what's going on regulatory wise, that kind of thing. But I just got another one. It says U.S. Democrat Senator Manchin says that they're on the verge of reaching an agreement. I would assume they're talking about that infrastructure stimulus package, stuff like that. I wonder what kind of if they were to reach an agreement, I wonder what kind of impact that would have on the market.
I mean, how do you like 4.1 trillion?
That's some serious fucking dough right there.
Prop it up. Prop it up. I mean, I've talked to people who think that, they had to print this money regardless of COVID, and that a lot of this conspiracy shit, they're like, they needed a crisis. Otherwise, they weren't going to have an excuse to just print trillions of dollars to prop up everything. Who knows? I don't know about all that stuff, but I'm not shocked. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist around COVID and that. I got my vax. Sue me. But I'm not shocked that there's a new variant and it's very deadly and there's a third wave and we're going to print more. I would be kind of shocked if the market did all the same shit it did. You know, like I've heard people like, oh, but COVID fears, so we're going to dump. It's like, but everyone who dumped during the last COVID fear got left behind. And like, they should probably know that now. It's like a known almost. It's kind of like, but we know COVID means, you know, stimulus, and stimulus means up. So maybe there's less of a dip. That's kind of my vibe.
That's the cycle. I think the Livermore cone of what we're going to be up against is, they're going to stop. They're going to stop loosening. They're going to taper and whatever. And then all of a sudden something will happen and they'll just more stimmy. And then we rally. And then, it's just that they're not going to get out of this experiment, in my opinion, bringing it back to what we started out the show with.
So somebody pointed this out, and I know we're probably trying to wrap things up here in just a moment, but somebody said earlier, you know, something about EIP 1559 being delayed. That's a really interesting development. You know, I wonder what effect that's going to have on Ethereum, you know, if it's a non-event. You know, I know some people were looking forward to maybe potentially selling EIP 1559 news when it went live on mainnet. You know, I don't really know what to think of this, but apparently there was some kind of consensus issue that was identified on the Ropsten testnet. And that it is in fact not going to be going live August 5th anymore.
Oh, bullish.
Yeah, probably.
There you go. I'm not following that too much, to be honest. I'm going to make this support wider so that we didn't break it yet.
If it's delayed, I don't know. They're going to figure it out. Like, fuck.
I mean, if you look at it in a gross way, if you want to be a bear, so I'm going to try to be the opposite right now because I like to fit things into what I'm thinking, which is always long lately, which has been wrong. So let's take a look. This is a pretty gross little bearish retest today. If you just go like, you know, we'll say candle body highs, so we get the line chart out. You say, okay, here was like a pretty nice support, right? Test and go, break back in. Now we've gone below and we're just testing from the underside. So that actually does look like shit on Ethereum. So I wonder if EIP, I mean, Vitalik did just say, I think yesterday or very recently, that the ETH 2.0 is now, you know, more certainly delayed up until the end of 2022. And that's a lot related to team issues, he said, sort of like within their dev community that are having some in-house fighting or, you know. So I don't think he's in a rush to do anything either. Obviously, he'd like to see it do well, but he'll want to get it right more than get it now. So yeah, I mean, ETH. Look, let's not sugarcoat it, guys. I'm not going to not that was covered in sugar, but ETH BTC looks like shit, and I say that
holding on.
Well, no, because
I don't think it looks like shit at all.
Oh,
I think it looks really good.
No. Because look, this looked good. Okay, this is bullish market structure. This is like, hey, look, I'm at the bottoms. I'm putting in W's. I'm breaking out. There's rising volume. And then you get up and you fail and you put in a lower high and then you lose that low. That is a reversal on weekly market structure. And now,
yeah, but at the same time, if you draw the trend lines on it, it looks exactly like a pennant.
And we almost got
there. Yeah. I mean, I don't trade pennants, but yeah, you could argue that we're flagging.
And here's the thing, dude. Like,
it just looks a lot more like an ascent.
Thinking about this logically, we spent 2 years in an accumulation range on ETH BTC. We had a violent break to the upside, and to expect that what we saw is what we're going to get, I think that that's an incorrect perspective. I think that this did not spend 2 years in accumulation range to have 1 month of explosive upside.
I tend to want to agree with you there, but all I'm saying is the market structure is bearish. That's an objective observation too, right? I mean, it's not like I'm bearish on it. It is bearish market structure every single time.
Do this and maybe off screen too. You know, and of course you've got slightly different trend lines than I do, but my trend lines show us exactly on the top of that channel support.
My trend lines will beat your trend lines up.
No,
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. Just started feeling like, well, my dad is like, no, but look.
Show me that cone again. I'm like, I want to see that cone.
Yeah, this is the Livermore, right? It was great. right up into the second chaos level, into weekly resistance, and then it just failed, came up, failed, and now it's just trending down locally. But it is now bounced here, so it is just consolidating. I just happen to be leaning. I am leaning, if you want to get my thesis, I am leaning on Bitcoin leading the continuation, because it's generally where the liquidity cycles start, and that will probably spell retracement consolidation for ETH BTC. And that could still, like you said, we had a very nice consolidation, but we haven't retested it. So if we sit down here for 2 years and then we break out strong, it would be totally fucking normal to come in and retest that level and then continue. I mean, it's a very high time frame pattern you're talking about.
Looking at this Livermore breakout, show me on this chart where we are in DeFi right now.
We are basically where Ethereum was in early April.
Oh, right here.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Sexy.
That's where I think DeFi is.
That's the sexiest thing I've heard in a long time over here.
Yeah. I actually wrote in the newsletter today that I don't know that we're going to be bearish on ETH BTC, so I actually want to be thinking long here, just in case it does retest here and doesn't come back. That's a lesson I've learned before, where I'm sitting here waiting for a short to come in.
Expansion, and that was just all she wrote. I
don't think it's all she wrote. I don't think it's all she wrote. Like, I'm not saying zero. I'm saying it's.
What I love about this. It's like the switching. Like, Daniel is the bear when it's coming to something, and right now it's flip flopped on this medium term, long term. You're kind of showing bearish, and he's kind of like, fucking ain't right. This is like.
Well, look at this. This is probably what's driving my thinking here. I need to get off FTX charts here. So look, and this is definitely driving my bias on that particular pair, and that is Bitcoin dominance. Right now, Bitcoin dominance. I was crying for, alt season, or praying for it, and then up here I was like, fuck, if this is not it. Like, alts literally die, and then we've just tanked straight down, and that was the Livermore cylinder breakout on ETH. Like, that drives most of that shit, right? And that was ADA was pushing a lot of this and other things like that. And now we're just down here, and we've just put in a weekly reversal here as well. And so you're just telling me that
flag, bro.
Personally, bear flag. Personally, I think Bitcoin is going to go sub 20% dominance at some point, just because of how big I expect other shit to get. I just don't know if it can go straight down. And structurally, as far as my trading plan goes, I need to now be thinking Bitcoin.
Here's an interesting perspective on that.
Having said that, I bought altcoins today. So
shitcoins were largely responsible for that massive downward impulse and dominance, right? DeFi really didn't do jack shit.
This year they
while those shitcoins were doing that and were capturing dominance. I think it's very likely that dominance doesn't have to nuke lower. Maybe we can even trend sideways, which can be misleading to some people as money flows from shitcoins to DeFi. If you look at, we brought this up before, do DeFi perp divided by shit perp. And you can see right there that money is flowing from shitcoins to DeFi.
DeFi P divided by
shit PERP.
Oops, that's not the button.
Yeah, DeFi perp divided by shit perp. Simple as that.
I love it.
And
just
so this
no, DeFi perp / shit perp.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
So this is a reversal. I agree. This looks like it's bottom to go up. So that means DeFi's coming back versus shitcoins.
Versus all that shitcoin
so
money.
This was like shitcoins going crazy and DeFi sucking. And you're saying we're about to see that switch. I love that.
I think that
makes sense to me. Yeah.
I think that's where the money's going to flow, and that's why I do think do we really live in a world to where we have all of this innovation and progress in altcoins, but we can't even get lower in terms of dominance than we were in 2017 when it was totally fucking like different from a fundamental perspective. That makes no sense to me, but I do think that shitcoins have topped out. I don't think that we see ADA going any higher, Dogecoin making new highs,
I'm still waiting to short ADA.
That money is going to flow into DeFi in a big way. And I think that you'll see that the speed, or I think you'll see that flow increase as DeFi begins to show more strength and people begin to pile on more, and then it becomes a fucking FOMO kind of bubble situation.
No, I think Charles would really take offense to you calling ADA a shitcoin.
I'm sure he would.
He would light this chat up.
And he'd be telling us why ADA is technically DeFi, because they will have it.
I'm convinced that ADA is a giant money laundering scheme. So if you can convince me otherwise, go ahead.
I don't know. Isn't it the most academically
they've got a ton of public research and published papers and all sorts of stuff like that. I just don't see how it managed to capture the market capitalization that it did.
Wasn't he the co-founder of Ethereum?
Being some kind of money laundering operation.
China.
He was the co-founder of Ethereum. That's what I read in the Vitalik article the other day, that like basically all the other co-founders after VB have basically left to start their own chains, and he's one of them, and that might be a little clout driving their valuation. But look, I'm with you. I have this consolidation range, so if we're just going to like chill here and we can just shift between shitcoins and DeFi, I actually love that because I am going to buy some SNX today in DCA.
This is a token picker's market.
But it is. But can we get this 20-week moving average while Bitcoin breaks back up? Can we get a bull market from Bitcoin and we touch this downtrend line? And then we, there's a lot of scenarios here that, again, this is just, it's bullish market structure confirmed. I have to trade based on what the chart tells me, or I'm just not doing my job.
Yeah, I mean, if this thing really broke out from that diagonal thing, I mean, you can just put goblins and ghouls up in that right corner there, because if that
I don't think that's happening.
Bitcoin was selling off,
yeah,
it would be the end of times.
I don't think so, but I'll tell you what, this would be totally fucking normal. Like, that's just normal ebb and flow of markets. So I think that's what's going to happen, but I actually like your idea better, which is where the DeFi just shifts, shitcoins to DeFi, and we can even just live in here and fuck Bitcoin dominance. I'm more comfortable with that, but for now,
let's get
I'm a little.
Thanks for the supporters today. Throw a thumbs up in the chat for us. I think we need to get that algorithm.
Y'all want to fire up the algo
likes,
with a few likes, get us our dopamine for the day. This has been a good one, guys. There's a lot of good energy. I'm not surprised. I was like, this is going to be a great show today because Bitcoin just pumped 3,600.
It was. I wish Dan was here, but
we found some middle ground. There's some shit I think you're wrong about. We got it all figured out. But actually,
you're wrong, Random Task.
Yeah,
you're wrong.
No, I've come to some really good realizations today. Namely, I like that SHIB DeFi pairing. I'm going to start looking at that, and then SNX, man. SNX, everything else aside, whatever Bitcoin's going to do, whatever, that's just a setup I like to take.
Aave is a fucking setup too, man. Both of those are undeniably blue chips. Look, if anything, we're going, where it's going to come in here and be a top 10 and do it El Rapido, we're talking synthetics, Aave, things like that. So, am I going to have some shitcoin exposure? Fuck yeah, I always do. Some little fun punts and low caps that I think can appreciate massively. But guys, if you have any kind of size and you want to take the sure bets, it's honestly, it's extremely unlikely that you will pick things that will outperform these blue chips in a bull market.
It's a crapshoot. One thing we talked about on stream last week on Hero Labs Live is taking like 20 coins that launched in May and April, like totally new coins. And they just launched at the wrong time and they just all went straight down. They're down like 80-90%. Some of them are building. And I think if I sprinkle like $500 bets across like 20 of them, take 10K and just, or whatever amount, like it's percentage wise is what matters, but small bits, like something that you're not going to lose your lunch over. Some of those are going to 100x, I think. I think I can find them. But like you said, the chances are most of them are going to just die. So I do have a plan running that's going to start nibbling at some of these new projects that nobody even knows what they are yet. But I just, talk to the team. Oh, you guys are building. You got some users, whatever. And we're going to find 20 of them. We're going to probably shortlist that in the Discord. You're
like the liquid shitcoin VC. If you get one that 100x's, you could have 20 that.
That's exactly what I am, and half of them are from the fucking portfolio. So, a lot of things launched in May and June. We're going to find the ones that are doing something. I always go back to Chain Games, man. That thing launched last summer, dropped down to 1 cent, and then ran to $1.20 in like 2 days because PayPal announced something like they were building. And I took my eyes off them. So I think there's some opportunity in that. But I agree with you. If you really want to put size and have some conviction, like blue chips, they're blue chips for a reason. Like billionaires are betting on them.
right now, the one thing that was even more clear this week is SBF. Get behind him.
God tier. That's the one thing that now I'm not even worried about the range. I'm like, I'm picking up some Sam basket. And that's what I did this morning.
Sam, take the wheel.
Yeah.
I love it. I see
Give me some of that Ray. Give me some of that Oxy. Give me some of that FTT. I'll put it in the dusty corner, and it will be around in 2 years, and it'll probably be worth more. I don't know. That's my.
I love it. During like the darkest, deepest, it's just red after red. I'm thinking like, Jesus, take the wheel. Sam, take the wheel, baby.
Please. Yeah. Just 900 mil sounds about right.
Guide us out of this thing.
I mean, I was watching baseball the other day, and I saw the FTX on the MLB on the umpires. I was like, holy shit. I didn't even hear about that. I literally heard about it through it being there.
Right.
I missed the news, but anyways.
I know.
Love
it. All right,
guys, it's been a blast. I really appreciate all you guys coming in to watch the show today. Hit the sub if you haven't already and you like what we're doing here. Stick around. We're going to have some more offerings coming up. Hero Labs Live on Friday at 3 p.m. starring myself and some charts. See if we can get after it and start picking away at some of those deep, dark, dirty old shitcoins. And maybe Bitcoin will reclaim the range lows with some pugnacity. But tune in on Friday to check that out. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful day. Play safe, Don't lose your shirt. And always play from a position of strength. Take care, fellas.
Thanks.